Morning everyone on YouTube, just doing a few morning chores this morning. I want to talk about something that we're gonna have to do this morning. Our dominant ram, as far as our breeding male, you'll see him coming up here in the back. It was getting close to time to change him out, but unfortunately he actually started becoming aggressive. Really have never had a ram ever do that. But we were out separating males and females and checking stuff out and getting ready to separate a few of them, and actually had him coming up right here charge my son. And I was right there. I was just wasn't fully aware of what was going on. And the next thing I noticed, he charged my son and actually hit him. My son was able to deflect the blow, but overall it ended up hitting my son. And I thought it was just a fluke because we were chasing around his females, but no, after that he did it again a couple different times. And to be honest with you, we can't have that kind of danger just lurking around here on the homestead, as far as something that could happen, because my children take care of these animals on a regular basis, and I just can't have anything like that. So my son and I, it's our first cool morning we've had here in September, and this morning we're going to go ahead and plan on butchering him. Just can't afford to have the liability of him being around on the homestead any longer. Plus, like I said, with it being cooler, feeling decent that that we'll be able to butcher without any problems. And we are needing some ground, at least some ground meat anyway. So we'll see how this all plans together. But like I said, it's going to be one of our cooler morning that we've had, first week in September. Feeling good about it as far as temperature wise. Not feeling great that we have to take care of and butcher him, but it is part of our life here on the homestead, and we're just fortunate and blessed to have so many animals. So we'll be with you after we get him going, and we'll show you how we cut him up and do those types of things. Shalom. Okay, we're back. Now we'll get back into harvesting our ram. So what we've done right now, we didn't want to show any of the killing or any of the gutting or anything like that, but there are a few important tips that we want to share, because that's part of what we share is really how to be an educational type thing, because we really want other families to succeed and not have problems. Because the worst thing you can do is harvest your animal and then have things that would make it have off taste or off odor just because you weren't sure about it. And it's the same way on wild animals as far as deer and other stuff like that. What you've got here is on a male ram, in this particular area, right around where his organs normally are, there's where he picks up a lot of his scent, and that scent is that musky part. On a deer, it's typically back up in here, and what you want to do is you want to cut that out. So I cut that out real carefully. So I always try to get behind it, and I'm usually wearing gloves because I don't want to take a chance of that getting on my hands. So I take that and I cut it all out. So I'm cutting this all out, so then that way I'll fold it back on top of itself, and I'm just going to come across with the knife and get that right out of here, because we don't want any of that smell or that opportunity to get on our meat, because it's really oily, really musty. Well, compared to other animals, it's not as musty, but on a sheep, but it can get musty, and we just want to get that all out of here. We don't want to have the chance of that getting on any of our meat in any way. The guy's trying to turn on me here. So we cut that all out. Another big thing is make sure you have a sharp knife. Don't go into this with a knife that's like a butter knife. When you're doing that, you want to make sure it's out quick and painless. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and actually clean off my knife, because I don't want any of that to transfer over. And then I'm going to actually swap out my gloves, and then we're going to go ahead and finish skinning the rest of the animal. So when we come back, we'll have the animal skinned, and we'll start talking about the cuts of meat that we're going to take off. Thank you. Okay, so we're back. We've just got the animal skinned. I'm going to go ahead and cut off its front legs. I'm going to show you then as quick as I can, with making sure I give some instruction on how to clean it, as far as take it off the bone. You can see what I'm doing here is I'm just looking for that split. There's actually like a shell in here, as far as a shell of a bone. Just taking that and cutting it straight down. There's the bone. Cut that straight down from there. Now we're going to go take this to the table. Right in here you can feel the bone. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come straight into here, cut that off, come right up to the first ball joint on the front leg. Trying to be careful, one not to cut myself or my son. Take off those tendons, because I don't necessarily want all those tendons to be in our finished product. That's one of the reasons why we process and do our own meat, so we don't have to put up with all those extra things. You can see here all this extra slime stuff that I'm sure the butchers take off. We'll take that all off, because we don't want to eat that. It's not something that, as a family, we've committed to eating. So I'll pull this off. Next part we're going to do is up here on the top. I just want to share this one part here on the top. So again, we'll take off all this fat. Sorry if the camera's a little shaky. I'm cutting on the table and Luke's trying to hold to get a good close shot for everybody. This is the one spot on the table where we've got just a smidge of sun, so I'm going to move this down so maybe there won't be as much sun, because we don't really want the sun anyway on the meat. But right in here there's a bone. We're going to go ahead and take our knife, just stick it in right along that bone, and you can see how it pretty much guided my knife through there. It's going to come down to the point where it hits a ball joint, and you can see hit the ball joint. I've also hit that bone. It's kind of like a plate. I'm going to take the knife in like this and just kind of carve it down. I think we're trying to educate, and at the same point I think I'm making this difficult because I can't get my knife where I need it. But okay, now we're going to do it on the other side. Take that knife and take the knife and cut it right down that other side. And then I'm going to take it and just cut it out. You can see I'm just going right down that part of that plate. Really all I'm doing is just trying to show you a way to maximize your ability to get your meat off of your animal. Just a little pick here. So just take that, run it right along there. And like I said, then you're going to come to a ball joint wherever those ball joints are. So we have a lot of tendons. Our house, we don't really enjoy the tendons. So just making things tough, because most of this is just going to be all ground beef. Or ground lamb, I should say. And so I just want to make sure I minimize the amount of tendons and other stuff in there which could lead to gristle. I know I could probably use a 2-stage grinder and other things like that, or just buy a bigger grinder and force it through there, but that's really not, like I said earlier, that's not why we've made this choice to do what we're doing. This particular stuff here, don't want any of this stuff going in there. I'm gonna cut this all off. hope you're watching this, because there's probably a very good chance, if you're not doing your own meat, probably a good chance this is what all that white stuff is. Which we know there's fat in ground burger and other stuff like that, and we have a little bit in ours, but if you don't dress it out, think how much extra stuff you get in there. And we'll actually take this in the house when we're done, and we'll clean it up even a little bit more, but why bring the extra waste in the house if you don't have to? This is pretty much it. So we've got the whole front area taken off. Now I'm coming down into the midsection. There should be a bone right in here. Yep, right there's that bone. Coming against it. Taking that out. And I've got a tendon right here. I'm going to cut through that tendon. Leave most of that attached to the bone. So in areas where I leave some meat, a lot of times it's because there's a tendon right there. And like I said earlier, I just don't want to eat that extra gristle or have that problem as far as having that grittiness in our meat. So there's a big chunk. Big chunk. Here's another tendon. We're going to cut right around that in the ball joint. See, there's a little bit in there. You're gonna have some of that, as much as we can avoid. A little bit of cleanup work on here, but for the most part, that's how we're gonna leave it. You know, all the tendons are left on in several areas. I don't even know what this bone would be called, but it's definitely like a plate. We've got the liver and the heart and the lungs we'll make for dog food for our animals. And then, you know, we're really left with pretty much the head, the hooves, and the stomach that's not being used on this, you know, on our butchering. So really feel like we try to maximize what we can out of the animals, and it's been great for us. So I'll show you one other cut real quick, and we're gonna go ahead and cut off the back strap now. Come right in here. Off at that point. Comes right in between that and the vertebrae, like this. Take this little guy off, and you can see what we're trying to do here is I keep it as close to the vertebrae as I can, as close to these back parts of the vertebrae too, as far as the spine. We're just going to cut it off. So I'm going to take this now and cut it down. Now I'm going to go ahead and cut it right out. There we are. There's a nice back strap. Gives you an idea as far as the length. I know it's about 2.5 feet. And it's probably maybe 4 pounds worth of meat there. Maybe 5, I don't know.